Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network, here where Albin Larsson and I, Jan Ainali, are editing Wikidata Live. How are you doing, Albin?
I'm well. I'm rather excited to do a bit of maps here today and work with that. And how are you,
Yes,
Jan?
I'm well as well. And I also, it was quite a long time we did something focused on maps. We have sort of switched views sometimes, but today
Yeah,
we're going to take a quite some look at it. Do you
indeed.
have any specific parts that you were going to look at?
Yeah, I want to showcase like the integration between OpenStreetMap and Wikidata, and
Mm.
actually do more things on the OpenStreetMap side,
Mm-hmm.
so that uh, Wikidata items and OpenStreetMap items can be connected and reused on various platforms. And speaking of that, what will you show?
Ha! That's totally great because I'm relying on that to work because I'm gonna make some queries that will sort of use the connection in to display something on Wikipedia through Cartographer, and Cartographer uses that uh, link from OpenStreetMap to Wikidata, so we can show something from the features that we do query for.
Right, get the geometries, so to say.
Yes, exactly. And I'm actually going to share my screen here because this was a very practical use case we had. We're having weekly meetups in Swedish about Wikidata where we just like have a fika on Sunday afternoon and sit and chat and share ideas and what we're working on. And someone said, like, these are the municipality articles on Swedish Wikipedia, and they're very similar, and they all have this map, like a placement map or orientation map of where a municipality is in the country, and where it is in the country. But of course, this is not like, and we can see it on Wikimedia Commons here. It's very low resolution PNG. So one of the user Moonhouse, was thinking we could probably do something like this through Wikidata Query Service instead, and got to work. So here we actually do have uh, uh, using a map link or with map frames and some features, some queries, and actually succeeding making this. So I was thinking we should try to recreate this and also make it a little bit more clean. I think this is made with the query builder, but I also want to change a few things because this is a starting point for one municipality. I want to make this so we can make it parametrical in a template and use it on all the different articles. So I'm actually going to start first trying to just do the query here, and we can see that this combines two different things. And the first thing is using the sort of the geomask, and that's querying for the county and making everything outside of the county a little bit more gray. Whereas the other thing query here is taking all the municipalities and highlights one of them in some sort of reddish thing, and all the others are white. And of course, these geometries comes from OpenStreetMap. So I'm going to start trying to redo this one from scratch here in the Wikidata query service. So I'm going to start with some select. I'm not going to use my usual here shortcut because when we use Cartographer, we need the parameter of the things that we want to show to be called ID. That it has to be that parameter name or variable name. So ID, I want to query for that. And then there's also the other neat little thing that we want, and we can see it here as well. We need the fill, and the fill is sort of like a magic thing for Cartographer that knows like if I have a hexadecimal value here, like a color, that it would show it with that one. So I want a fill here as well. So these are the two things I need to figure out. How do I get them and decide upon them? So that's where I'm going to start. And then I know that these are municipalities. So that's very handy for me now. Instance of. I press start right and press Control Space to get this drop down. So instance of. And I never remember exactly what the name of these items are. Swedish municipality of Sweden. This is the one I want. So that's what I want. But now I'm almost getting a little bit ahead of me here, because I want to make this easy to change with a parameter later. So I'm going to do a values here in the top, where I say that the article I'm on now, I want to use that as the parameter which I'm going to create this map for. So I'm just going to call this because I'm going to do it for this thing. And while doing it here now, I'm going to select one of the municipalities just to know something, and then I'm going to change that later when I come to Wikipedia. And I'm going to go with the Wikidata item for this, so we know this is something what we want. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white ones and 1 red one if we're successful. So this is Östhammar municipality. That's going to be the thing that I'm trying to get to. And then I also know that this one, I want all the things that are in the county. So I'm going to say this should be in, I think it's administrative, located in the, very, very good with this drop down here, because I wasn't even close with the first letters, but this is the one I want, P131. And I'm going to call that county. And then I'm going to sort of do the other way around. I want to say that the county, now what is this called? It's not this one, it's the other way around. Don't know the name of it. Here it is. Contains administrative territorial entity. So there's usually lists of these on the one, so we can find them from both ways. And then we're going to say the ID should be on this list.
Right.
And if I run this now, I hope I will get 8 results, because there's 8 municipalities as we saw on the map. So let's just try this first. I get 290 because I did say I want the county for ID, which is 290. Really, I want the county for this, which I set over here. And now we should get 8. Yes.
Yeah. So now we have the initial like query part you do is to only these ones should be possible to return, and then you actually return them.
Yeah. Sort of, I wrote it backwards, you could say. I could have started with this and then narrowed it down. I don't think I need distinct here, Nicholas asked, because there's going to just be one hit of each here. Yes, I'm pretty sure that will be the case. And then I want to add something for the fill here. So I have to bind that value to it. And we can see here we have 8 IDs. so we're going to bind, I guess, as fill. And then here we're going to do an if clause. And if this, or if ID equals this, then we'll give it one value, and if not, we'll give it another value.
Right.
And if it's not this one, we're going to make it entirely, was it white? Let's go with white there. So this one's going to be F. This one will be some sort of reddish hue, FF3333 or GB,
Right.
I hope. So let's see, we have the fill selected. Run this, see what to get. And we can see here we have 7 that are white, 1 that is red. And this one is the 59093 that we had up here.
Right.
And
Nicholas says here that always when he's in doubt, he adds this thing. And I completely agree with this. And I believe more people should do this because it just removes so many issues and it very rarely hurts.
Yeah. Oh, and great here. Someone have very sharp eyes. So thank you, Losana. It's just 3. That would break later otherwise, I think. So now I have the sort of the basics here. And this is essentially or functionally exactly the same as this part of the code. It does exactly the same. It's written differently because it's using the I think this has been using the query builder. So it's probably more exact and possibly even optimized in some way. But this is such a cheap query. We were only talking about 290 possible even from here. So this one takes a second. So I'm fine with this. So that's the first part, or the second part that we will need. And now I'm thinking how I'm going to go at it to get to the next level. So we can see here on Swedish Wikipedia, we have sort of the community have decided that we want our maps to be subpages to these. So I'm actually going to start one. And this is the template, map link template, where we sort of have, you might have some other name. It might be called map frame or map or something else, but this is what we use on Swedish Wikipedia. So I'm going to call this municipality in county, but in Swedish. And let's see if we get there. And it doesn't exist, of course. I'm starting now, pressing the red link here to create it. Yes, there we go. And then I'm going to go here back to this query and borrow a few things. Now, this one was an experiment with the geobox. I'm just going to make the map link part. So I'm going to copy all of that first. And go here and paste it in. And then I'm going to change this query for the query I just made. So I'm going to delete that one. And now here's one of the tricky parts with Cartographer. It really likes this to be on just one line. I think it breaks with otherwise. So I'm going to do it here so I see that it's still sort of functional code. It's easier to see here. We're almost done. We need one more. And then there needs to be a space over there as well. Copy all this and go back and paste it between these two. That's the first half. Now we need to redo this one a little bit. Not much though. So let's bring this part over into a query here and see what it actually does. It should just query on, and now this is on one line, of course. We'll bring it down here so it's easier to see. It should just query for the municipality and which thing it is in. So it says it's a county of Sweden. It has this, and the same thing. I'm gonna do this similarly here, like that. Then this one is another municipality, so I'm gonna take the same one here so we actually can see what happens. So I have this value here for my hometown municipality rather than Moonhouse hometown municipality. And he also went with one. It shouldn't be ceased to have any dissolve date. That might be good to have it if you want to make it generic for all the municipalities in Sweden. Okay, so let's just run this. This should just give one result, and if it's correct with this county, it should be Uppsala County. Now it didn't say here which one it was, but let's see, double check. Yes, right. So that's the right county. And I'll make this one to one line as well.
This would be a really nice feature of VDQS, the UI, if you had like a button to make it one line.
We should have that as a code snippet here, make it one line.
Yeah, or use something that modifies it for cartographer.
Yeah. That's good. There, copy that into my page here. This part was the thing I wanted to replace, so delete that first and paste it. And then we have some text over here. I'm gonna just say empty for now. I'm not sure I'm even gonna show it later. Let's see what if we preview this, what it shows. Oh, that's good or not good. Couldn't show. So there's something wrong somewhere. Yes, and I know what it is. I'd used the
double quotes.
Yes.
Right. That's another thing the query service could do in such an export.
Yes.
Like
clean this up.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had that trouble so many times, so that's one of the things I'm looking for. And here we get something. Let's see if it also builds the map. All right. So very nice. Exactly how I wanted this to be. So we have one red municipality, and then we have the other 7 in white, and we had some red outline around it. So we can see the red outline over here. And we also see it's sort of like a little bit gray around it. And that's what the GeoMask here is doing. So this is sort of like the first part of this. Now, the second part of this, I want to make this to be reusable so that I can put this into any municipality article and it would just work, because now it's hard coded to the municipality I grew up in. That's sort of we don't want to make this 290 templates. We just want to have one template. That's sort of like the idea of a template. So how can we do this? And there's actually a number of different ways on various wikis where we have templates or modules that you could call for. But one that I think is, let's see if I can find it again. Open up a new tab here. So template Wikidata, or in Swedish it's just called WD, seems to be on 160 Wikipedias already. It's not sure they are using exactly the same, so we'll have to check. I know on the Swedish one, it's exactly like it is on the English, but we have changed the name for some reason, probably because we already had some template, so it sort of collided. So I'm going to use this one, and it's going to be fairly easy. And let me show you the English documentation. You can see I've been here today. Yes.
Could you zoom in a little?
Good question, because this one is also very. And here's actually the first common use cases. And it says, do this and returns the queue identifier connected to the current page. That's exactly what I want to do. So the most common use case is in top of the documentation. Very nice. So I'm just going to take this, go back in here, replace this queue value with this, remembering that it's not called template Wikidata on Swedish Wikipedia, but WD, and do that in both of the cases here. Now, if I preview this one now, it will not show anything because this page doesn't know anything. But on the template pages, we have this nice thing. You can preview it on another page. So let me see if I can get this page title and see how it would look over there. Preview. And hopefully it will render that article. Yes, obviously I haven't put this template on this article yet, so it cannot show it. So I was a little bit too optimistic here. So I'll have to save this first, hoping this was correct.
Yeah.
So I'll save this one, and this is the first save even. And now I'll copy this, and now I can actually go over here and see, just put it in the top and see, does it seem to work, and without saving.
Yeah, using the preview.
Yeah. I'm going to put it in the very top.
Here's a good question. Are you in your template sandbox?
So the template, that one's not a sandbox. That's where we're storing it on Swedish Wikipedia.
Right.
So this is going to be the resulting template name. We have chosen on Swedish Wikipedia that we want all the map templates as subpages to this.
Right.
You might have some other convention on your local wiki. Sometimes it could be a subpage for the article it's meant to use, or it could be in the top level.
Yeah, but in case someone want to experiment with the map frames and various links or cartographers and various templates, then, for example, even on the Swedish Wikipedia, we do have the sandbox templates. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have, or you could easily create one, I guess.
Yeah. So
that should be non-controversial.
Indeed. So that could still be a good place for many to play around with it.
Yeah. Now let's preview this and see if we get something. So something happens. Oh, yes.
Oh,
now
that's neat.
Yes. But now let's go to another municipality and see if it also works there, or if it was just lucky because I hard-coded it. I think we didn't save the hard-coded thing, but let's go back to the edit window here. Oh, there's a lot of things used in it. Jump over to another municipality. Let's take some of the neighboring ones. We could go with the one. I think this should be the one to this one, the one to the left there. So Very slow. There we go. And edit the wiki text. And you can see it already has a Wikidata. The entire info box is just one line here, so it's already supported by Wikidata. Let's see here if we can get a map supported through Wikidata and Commons as well. Something's happened. Yes, and we got the other one next to it. And if I zoom in here.
And then there is a very small one.
To the top, yeah.
Above it, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we had two small ones down here as well. So,
indeed.
So that's nice. And now the next step would be for me now to not put them in the articles like this, but rather to go and change this info box to not use this image and format the cartographer thing so it fits in this area a little bit nicely. But yeah. I think that's also going to need a little bit of a community discussion. I think we will get consensus because so far, or maybe we might not, because I'm not sure if you noticed here, but this is actually currently a bug. So when you use the GeoMask, it cannot zoom unless you zoom, or it cannot position and zoom it automatically. You have to put it explicitly, because there's some sort of bug and it's reported in the Fabricator.
So but you could do that by picking the coordinates from Wikidata with the Lua module.
I could, yes. I don't think I even need a Lua model. I think this template could actually just say, because you can say here, I want the property 625 and...
Yeah, but that's a Lua model, right?
Yeah,
that's what I meant. You don't need to write any Lua yourself.
No,
you can just use an existing one.
I could probably use an existing one. Yes, that could possibly be done. I think the zoom level is the hardest ones.
Oh, indeed. Because municipalities can vary a lot in size.
Yes, yeah. And especially in Sweden, we have some even counties that are quite small compared to another. Like the one in north, we have municipalities that are larger than entire counties in the south.
Yeah.
But I guess it could probably be done fairly well. But I would also like the bug to be solved.
Indeed. But it would be very nice to have those interactive maps there in the info boxes. They are slightly more accessible and just looks nicer.
Yeah, and let me see if I can go to here and make a short URL for this. And I'll share this on a banner here, so you can see how this actually looked. That's the one. So that's the page. You can find how my code underneath here actually looked if you want to be inspired for your wiki to do something similar. Beware that I didn't need to do a lot of filtering for historic ones. That might vary across country and level what you're doing it on. So it might turn into a more complicated query. This was a simple case.
Yeah, but a great start for someone who wants to maybe copy paste or something like that.
Yeah.
So right. And this is kind of possible because those geometries are stored in OpenStreetMap.
Yes.
And I actually want to start with it. So I actually picked out the municipality here while you were editing, as I think it would be a nice demo. So we don't, oops, there we hidden that. We actually don't have like a OpenStreetMap thing here. We have one for like relations, but it's rarely used and it has been proposed for deletion several times. and it's not used by cartographer, and there's nothing about OpenStreetMap here, but it's on the OpenStreetMap side, and I have under tools here like a OpenStreetMap element link, because I think there are several user scripts, but I made one several years ago, and that's the one I'm using. So it actually looks for the Wikidata ID in OpenStreetMap, and if there is one, it creates a link. So if we just head over here to this municipality, we can see that it has been tagged with a Wikidata item, and we can see the entire geometry here. So that's essentially what cartographer then picks up. And that's why it's important sometimes to know how to edit OpenStreetMap so we can add QIDs there. So that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to do it two ways, I believe. First, we're just going to look manually for things that should maybe have a Wikidata item. And then we're going to see if we can do it in some smart way. So I'm just going to head over to regular OpenStreetMaps, like regular base map on openstreetmap.org. And this is kind of my hometown, doing the same type of selection as Jan there. And there is an edit button if you're signed in. I think it's even an edit button there if you aren't signed in, and it will just ask you to sign in. So I'm going to click edit here, and we'll get a bit of a different UI. It asked me to do like a world program. I know OpenStreetMap, so I'm going to click edit now. But then I can zoom in to start seeing things here. Let's see. Let's see how well I know my hometown nowadays. So it should start rendering. It might be, there we go. Lots of items here. So this, for example, should be the railway station. Let's see if that one has a Wikidata item.
That's the part of town I know.
Indeed, it was built around the railway, and that's usually where a lot of people switch trains. So I can see it says tags 2 here. So I'm going to click that and see if it has a Wikidata tag. No, it has not. It just says building. It's a train station, and it got a name. So let's go to Wikidata and just search for it if we can find it. And OpenStreetMap also very often uses Wikidata for various things. For example, I found a railway station here, so I can add it. And OpenStreetMap, for example, uses it for labels sometimes, to have like multilingual labels. So this is something that benefits both projects a lot. So I'm gonna say Wikidata, and I think as well, if I do select it like this, it automatically pulls in the description, and I think it usually pulls in like Wikipedia as well. So let's save this and see what it actually does. So added Wikidata tag, not to Glacier, I just added Wikidata tag. There we go, and upload. And I can select the building again once it loads. There we go. And it didn't pull in Wikipedia. Maybe there isn't the English Wikipedia article, or maybe it does that on a regular basis, but it did pull in like description and such to have it displayed. And it just using the API to do that. Here it just stores the Wikidata QID. So that's very nice. So now you could actually make like one of those queries and render it in a Wikipedia article. So if I go up, there should be a large search here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, where am I? The search should be here. Maybe it's missing. No, there it is. So we got a search, but it already have a Wikidata item. So it have a label here, identifier, and so on. Right, let's see if we can find at least some more before we try to edit in a smart way. We got a town hall.
Yeah, should probably, I think the schools are all in Wikidata.
Indeed, I think so as well, and but they recently changed them here. Library, indeed, the library is very relevant. The library is that one. Yeah, but it got a incredibly generic name. But where is... Oh, the town hall is of course in the park here. That's Gröna Kulle, Green Hill. And that should very much be in Wikidata because I think it's a protected building. Might be mostly known to have in the underground there. They have the Sweden's first atomic bomb protected
shelter.
All
right. Oh, 3 items.
Indeed, 2 items. We ended up here 7 or 6. Let's bet for it being the one with the Wikipedia article. Yeah. So not a lot of data here, but everything we are going to do is to copy the QID and add it here. Wikidata. Here we go. And having done that, I'm gonna save that. And it remembers my last change set comment. So I can upload it. And once again, it's accessible from one of those queries. For example, if someone would like to do a query for all town halls in Sweden, you could actually render the geometry of them rather than just the coordinate, which we can already do. But this is a rather tedious way to do it, I believe. Like, I know this town I can go, the library should be in Wikidata, and the town hall should be in Wikidata, the railway station and such. So I want to get a list of potential things rather. And then we have a tool called Overpass Turbo, which is in a way kind of like the query service, but for OpenStreetMap. And this one doesn't use SparkQL, it uses another language. But I have found that the easiest way nowadays to actually use this is to use the wizard here, which is kind of like the query builder, but different. So my idea, because you just write text, and my idea here is that if we query for everything with a name that does not have a Wikidata item, we would get kind of a good list of things that could potentially be in Wikidata. We would have something like roads. All Swedish roads aren't in Wikidata, but they very often have names. But that's fine. We would easily see them on the map and move on. So I think that would be an interesting thing to do. So first of all, everything should have a name, and it's name equal to star. And then we can just write and here because this is making a very simple query for us. And then I want it not to have a Wikidata item. So Wikidata is not equal to star, which is essentially anything. So that's incredibly simple. But now we click build query and it turns it into a bunch of things here. And it already says that it queries for things in the bounding box, the BB box. And it's essentially how we zoom here. I'm gonna zoom in a little because especially when I do screen sharing, it might need be a little bit of an extra small area for it to work well. So I just click run. A lot of data. Let's abort. And I'm gonna remove. So there are like 3 data types in OpenStreetMap. There are nodes, which are just points on a map. There are ways, which are essentially lines. And there are relations, which is essentially a combination of nodes and ways. I'm gonna remove the relations for now because they are quite intensive in this application and I don't think they are as relevant for the demo here. So let's run it again and see if we get the same. No, it just renders. So all of these things are either nodes or ways without a Wikidata item.
But with a name.
but with a name, indeed. So, for example, what's it called in English?
Large square?
A square, indeed.
The big square?
And this is indeed called the big square, which I imagine is a very common name for squares in Sweden. Let's see if we can find that in Wikidata. I'm not sure. There are a bunch of them in various cities. Is there one in... Is the one for Katrineholm in there? No. That's okay. I don't feel a big need for that either. Maybe we got like the big park in Sweden. I think that is highly relevant as well. Is this the hospital? The
That's
hospital.
likely.
That's incredibly likely. So I found this to be the best way to do it. Just copy the name. And I can't imagine we don't have the hospital.
Oh, and we even have we saw the other one was a parliamentarian document about it.
Indeed. So here we go. Here it's just a building, which fits the description in OpenStreetMap very well, at least. So I can just put it on the building. So I'm copying the QID, heading over to OpenStreetMap Turbo, where I actually got this way ID here, which I can just click, and I get to see it. And I should be able to just click edit. And it should actually remember the way. Yeah, you can see it just kept the selection. And I can click here and say Wiki data. And there we go. I think I copied the QID. It uses object there for now, but I think that's just a temporary bug. So I'm gonna save that. Again, I just write one letter and it remembers my last ones. Click upload. There we go. Could it be that's a park? I'm not sure if Swedish parks are very well covered in.
There are some, but I'm not sure how well they are.
So here we got a school. I think the name is actually wrong nowadays. I'm gonna skip that one because it's a little special. They are currently rebuilding it as well. But I was thinking the library. Yeah, here we have the library. Let's see if we can find that one, as we were mentioning it. I'm just gonna type the name of the city and the name of the library. Could it be... That shouldn't do the difference, but maybe it's a different form of it. Oops, not that's one word, but that's two. No, maybe we're missing that one.
No, we might be missing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we should have it.
Yeah, I'm not. What happens if I just do like library and the city? No, I don't think it's in Wikidata.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're spelling Katrineholm wrong.
Oh. Maybe that's there we go. I imagine we even got like the schools.
There. Yes.
Yeah. What are some of the school ones?
That's the city library.
That's the city library indeed, but it got a different name here.
Yeah. But it looks like the city library on the images.
Yeah. Indeed, it's the right building. I'm actually not sure what we actually call the library. So I'm gonna add the QID as well. It's one thing, maybe if someone builds a tool for it or something, is that loading the entire like map editor to add a QID is a little heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It works pretty well when there aren't a lot of things around and such, but it would be nice to just have an input box for this type of edits. not everything one does in OpenStreetMap are map related, so to say. Or everything is map related, but not map dependent.
Yeah, it's a lot of data edits.
Indeed, and here it's even remembered now that I have typed that a couple of times. So I'm just gonna click upload. Okay, but that is essentially how we can find. I think that worked pretty well as a way to do this, and you can play around with how large the bounding boxes can be for this. I can already see that, for example, we added it already for the town earlier, so it didn't show up in the query, as well as the church here. The churches have all been imported to Wikidata already. So it filters those out and works in general. And if in case we just want to run the same query somewhere else, let's run it in another city. Let's make it rather narrow. Let's do it here. And let's click run. And it will just run in that area. And this is also interesting. Here is a museum, which is definitely in Wikidata, but we're missing the connection here. We got a quite well-known castle here, or castle ruins rather. But let's see, it appears to have some type of connection at least, as it didn't show up. So whenever you have a query like this, it's just run it in a new area and see what shows up. But what if there isn't something in, you want to add something new to OpenStreetMap? And I have one of those cases. So if I head back just to OpenStreetMap editor, I want to head outside of the city here, because there is a rather well-known monument here. A historic monument just here, which I want to add, because it's one of those monuments which I believe should be in OpenStreetMap, because it's one of those you can actually like park next to and visit, and it's somewhat interesting for even the average person to see. So I'm thinking, let's find what I'm looking for in Wikidata and create a new item for it. So I'm hoping we have it by name. Please, without completed. Please subscribe. And let's see. It doesn't show up too well on this image, but it's like a stone setting in a ship formation.
Easier to see in real life.
It's rather easy to see in real life, this one. So I now let's see, that's okay, but let's add it. So here I'm gonna add a point, and it's about, let's see, we can kind of see it on the image as well. Yeah, it's just next to, it's there. And can I search for monument or historic site? Historic site, I think, is the best one. It got a really good like autocomplete. If you type like monument, historic site, it generally gives you a very good. Let's see, it got a couple of types here. Let's see, ruins, charcoal pile. This is specific. Let's see if it has.
It seems to be a long scroll down as well.
Yeah. Stone setting is not in there. Let's see if I find runestone is in there. Milepost is in there. Standing stone. It's several standing stones actually, but yeah. Stone district. Oh, I think some of them disappeared. Let's see if I. Memorial, monument. Oh, no, there are a lot more. Aircraft, PA, manor. All right, I'm gonna leave that one out. You could even got inscription. For example, if you got a runestone, you could add it there. It would be interesting to see if it takes the runes here. But let's add the Wikidata. I actually want to see if I add Wikidata here, I think it should pull in the name from there. So I don't need to type it here manually. So going up, copy the QID, paste it in there. And if I just focus somewhere else, it shows. It might just show, it doesn't have a name in English on Wikidata. So it might not pull that in. Let's see what happens if I try to do name SV. Will it let me do that? It seems like so. Then I'm just going to copy it from Wikidata as well. It even got the name in German according to this one, which I imagine is a straight translation from Swedish. So the Swedish name there, and then I'm going to click save. I did not just add a Wikidata tag here. I added a historic site. And it's always a bit of a question for me when to add an historic site or not to OpenStreetMap. Like, does it just need to be visible or should it be somewhat interesting? But something I actually realized when I saw the image here is that maybe it's when it got the sign next to it.
Yes.
Maybe that's it.
That might be interesting. Like if you're passing by with a car and you see something and, oh, yes, it was on the map as well.
Yeah, indeed. And just like a general hint, has someone before me thought that this was interesting, or is it just me? So that it's there now, and now it could be queried for in Cartographer, for example. Here, this is a node, so it isn't a huge difference from querying for the coordinates in Wikidata. However, this could also be something else. Maybe it's a long road, like which we doesn't store the geometry for in Wikidata or Commons. So that's a great thing. Maybe we have like a water treatment plant here. Maybe that's... Oh, we don't have the name. Okay. I actually don't know the name of it either. But this to me is like something more people on Wikidata should know about, because it really enables us to make those maps on Wikipedia's. Let's actually, before we end, head over to... Oh, now I zoomed out a lot. But I kind of know where I am anyway. I want to see...
Last week's... No?
Last week. What did we do last week?
The nature reserve.
Oh, indeed. We could... Maybe we should show that as well as it never triggered. So we were just here, and I was looking like at rerunning the query, and I wanted to see if... Where am I? I'm completely in the wrong spot. There we go. If this castle had a Wikidata tag. It got a Wikipedia article, so you might... Yeah, indeed, it do have the... So here I think we can still edit Wikipedia, but we can't like edit these things. But it's a neat thing. It's a fortress museum according to OpenStreetMap. I wonder what Wikidata considers it. It got a long description, and it's a lot of things. It's a castle, it's an architectural ensemble, it's a tourist attraction, a museum. This should maybe be cleaned up, so to say. But yeah. So that's kind of for today, but Jan had a great idea as well. So last week we did a bit with iNaturalist and connected it to Wikidata. So what was the name of the nature reserve this time?
Lean
Udden. Lean Udden Nature Reserve. And let's see. So back then I hadn't registered my observations in over there, but now I have, and it has picked up some of them. So this is oh, it says it if I hover it. Wood Animal, that's English name, and this is a Suffolk Lungwort. Oh, that, and this is a Yellow Star of Bethlehem, a Vårlök Lungört of Vitsipa, Swedish. And this is kind of interesting because it doesn't necessarily show everything. So I'm a plant person, but I also took some pictures of mushrooms, but I can't identify all mushrooms. So it only got things here which are like confirmed to be what they are, so to say. So yeah, that's something from last week.
Research grade on iNaturalist or just confirmed?
I can, appears like I can click this. Let's see. Can I see the observation somewhere? I think it's research grade.
All right, nice.
I think I might still be logged in here. And I don't think I've done that many observations.
And for people who are not familiar with iNaturalist, it's sort of like when people are confirming each other's observations, it gets sort of like a better quality of the observation, and research grade, I think is that the highest level? Yeah.
So here we can see the nature reserve. Here is a mushroom, I think. And actually it's also, maybe it isn't research grade. Did I click? No, that's the wrong one. How do I use come to the... Is that observation? It is, right. Yeah, I was just given the genus, and because there's just one person identifying it more, it still needs identification, so it's not research grade and doesn't show up on Wikidata. But if I pick one of the other things I had in the nature reserve, that's not that nature reserve, it's that one. You can see where I have been the last few weeks. And there, for example, we got the wood animal, and it says research grade down here.
Yes, very
and
nice.
It showed up in Wikidata. So yeah, that's a bit of a backtrack to last week's work.
And see how it developed over a week.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think that's it. Some maps, various aspects of it. Hope you can get inspired, do something in your local wiki or in the wikis I was working on, but with other things.
Indeed. Or maybe add more connections so that other people can make those maps.
Indeed. We haven't yet figured out the theme for next week, so you're very welcome to suggest anything to us. But we will be back.
Indeed.
And until then, happy editing.
Happy editing.